Hello, friends. I'm so happy to be with you here today. And I've got a good friend with me. And we're going to be talking about thriving over the holidays. This is a show that talks about not just surviving life, but actually thriving in life. And that means the holidays as well. So I brought my friend Havah here online, and we're just going to be talking. You get to eavesdrop a little bit with us because this is something that we've really committed to. Havah, it's so good to have you here.
Hi, Head. It's so fun to be here.
Thanks. Let me ask this question, Havah. We'll get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Why do you think I asked you to come on my show today and say, hey, Hav, can you come in the show today and just talk with me about how to not just survive the holidays, but how to actually thrive?
Oh, I've got a good idea of why you asked me. We've been friends for years, and I spent almost 10 years abroad, and that meant I wasn't around traditional friends and family for some holidays that were really important to me, and that my family had put a big emphasis on celebrating and making a big deal out of. And I really had to figure out how to celebrate these important times in a whole new way.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority on my own.
Mm.
And so many of our talks were instrumental for me in taking back the whole idea was taking back the holidays,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and figuring out how to, if you're brought up in one way, you've got this idea that holidays are supposed to look and feel a certain way. And when you're
Mm-hmm.
taken out of that family framework that you're so used to, you don't have the same tools that you always had for celebrating, like
Mm-hmm.
there's not always going to be a Christmas tree available to you. There's not
Mm-hmm.
always going to be a church down the road, like if your life changes the way that I did. So so I really was able to cultivate a new way to celebrate the holidays and why they were important to me. And
Yeah.
thrive. Number one thing, like thrive and
Yeah.
make it special for
Yep.
me.
Well, and I can remember the conversation. You were you had said you hated Christmas. Do you remember saying
Hmm.
that?
Yeah.
And I was so like sad for you as my friend. And I go, hi, I love Christmas. And then I realized, okay, yes, I love Christmas, but I too had to work at loving it sometimes and not just trying to meet the expectation of family, friends,
Yeah.
society, even. This pressure to buy the perfect gift, even, or make the perfect meal. Um, when I
Totally.
started really addressing some of these false beliefs of you have to have the perfect gift, or you have to send the perfect card, or you've got to make sure that you make the perfect meal, or keep up with all the kids' activities in a perfect way. Once I started letting go of that, and I really saw them as false beliefs, I started inviting in really some true beliefs, which is I get to enjoy my holidays. And I've learned to take that into all of my holidays. And it struck me as you and I were talking that conversation long ago,
Yeah.
because I fiercely enjoy our holidays now.
Yeah.
But I think it was this commitment that I heard you, the light bulb go on where you said, yeah, I get to enjoy my holidays. And I think as we started moving through that question over the years, it's been this fun little banter back and forth saying, well, how are you going to enjoy your holidays? And
Yeah.
sometimes there were seasons where I'm like, okay, this is a really hard one to figure out. Like my father passed on, or you're moving, or
Hmm.
dealing with some of your own family stuff. I think we sometimes that question is challenging. I don't mean to make light of it
Right.
because it's been challenging seasons. And I don't want to act like we can't honor some of the challenging seasons, but I will say sometimes enjoying our holiday when we're going through grieving also meant just slowing down. I
Yeah.
remember,
Let's
yeah,
normalize challenging seasons, first of
yes,
all.
yes,
Let's let that be a regular thing here and
yeah.
there.
And let it change how we do holidays.
Hmm.
Speak to that a little bit.
Well, okay. While it's on my mind, I have to ask you though.
Yeah.
Um, How was it when you talked about like your false beliefs that, with the kids and the family and everything's got to be done just right, and you started letting go of some of those false beliefs and inviting,
Mm,
your true beliefs in on, and this can look a different way that's more, like
yeah.
inducing. Did you let it all go? Was it like an overnight thing, or were you just like, okay, this year I'm going to shed this idea of entertaining 12 people. This year, was it one by one? Was it overnight? Like,
Great question. No, it's never overnight, is it? It takes the pain point. It takes it being really uncomfortable, and then
Totally.
my husband and I look at each other, just kind of raggedy after a holiday,
Yeah.
and going, "What did we just go through?"
Yeah.
And I remember it hit us with two young toddlers, to be honest, and it was a really nice problem to have. We
Mm.
had two beautiful families that wanted us, and they were all driving distance. But you're looking at, I don't know, a good 20, 30 people, and then people flying in.
Oh man.
So we would have one whole family dinner over at his house, whole nother family celebration at my family's house. We could kind of do that before we had kids, and we kind of had fun with it. And then when we had kids, it was exhausting. And, kids need naps, and kids are not good with tons of stimulation and presents and
Oh
candy and
boy.
sugar. And especially my kids, I'm like, they just needed a system. And I realized I don't care if it's the holidays. My kids, if they're not happy, I'm not happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when Darren and I kind of retook that back, we came back from one season, and it wasn't anyone did anything bad at all. It was wonderful, too much love almost. And then I just said, we can't handle all this with the kids. How do we do this better? And how do we enjoy it? And we both looked at each other and we're like, we just have to take back our holidays. And we were trying to live up to the expectations of all the grandparents and the aunties and the uncles and the cousins.
Oh boy.
And we just had to stop and say, what do we need for this season in our life? And once we realized our kids just need one place to stay for the week, and
Oh
then
yeah.
everybody can come see us. So we just said that, and very lovingly to the family, just saying, I'm so sorry, but we need to stay put in one place. Could you come to where we're at?
Yeah.
Or if we can't do it this year, we're going to have to switch houses every other year. But trying to do it a couple days here and there was just so fragmented for our family. And learning little pieces like that till the kids got older and they could handle a little bit more. That was huge.
And how did people around you receive it? And how did the kids receive it? Were people good with you?
Oh,
You guys
yeah.
started to augment expectations?
Yeah. Well, fortunately, we did it without a meltdown. Sometimes it doesn't always happen, right?
I know.
You're sitting the infamous sitting around the Thanksgiving dinner or the Christmas dinner, and then everybody
Uh-huh.
loses it because
Uh-huh.
they're going on no sleep and all the bad habits come out. Fortunately, and I think that's why I want to talk about it today. We were able to feel the fatigue. And I think that's the number one thing I want to encourage all our listeners. Monitor your energy.
Yeah.
We felt the utter fatigue of what we were trying to do, and realized this isn't the way we want to celebrate our Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter, any of these beautiful holidays that we really value.
Tired. You don't want to celebrate. I'm tired.
Yeah. And I don't want my kids to remember a tired, cranky mom.
Yeah.
So I think we just said, wait a minute, we get to do this for us. And then I said, well, what's important to you? And he said, what's important to you? And so we kind of figured out what we needed, got our clarity, grabbed onto our confidence, which our true belief was we get to enjoy the holidays. And then the courage piece was stepping into the conversation with our families and say, hey, this is, I think, where we're at. So we're able to do it in a loving way that honestly, I realized, man, it was us, not them. They were like, great,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
which is nice. And I know it's not always that way. I know some people have families and in-laws that put a tremendous amount of pressure on them to keep up with the system. But I will say, if you do a little bit more of that clarity on the front end, you can step into that conversation and address some of these beliefs that are kind of holding you back and telling you, you don't get to enjoy your holiday. You just got to endure it.
Are you saying like if you do like a little prep work, like sometime in advance and really like sit down and have that conversation,
Yep.
then you can kind of get in front of this and tell people where you guys are at. But what happens if you're already like, you're in too deep? You've overcommitted, they're coming, the family's coming, the expectations are met, the presents have been wished for. You've told, Sally and Johnny, they've been a good boy and good girl. They're going to get what they asked for this year. Like,
yeah, I always tell people you have the right to change your mind.
Okay.
But if you feel like you want to stay in it, then you have to find ways to pace yourself. Yeah. You have backup plans, you have exit strategies, you have breaks, you use paper plates and not the china.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just take some shortcuts to help you still enjoy that time. Um, you plan activities that help people not just sit around too much and get bored and sometimes get in trouble with old family dynamics, things like
Yeah.
that. And then you kind of monitor what's working and what's not. And it's like this constant process of refining so that every holiday gets to be richer. And, I'm going to turn around on you. Like when you were traveling abroad, you didn't have
Mhm.
family. You were living this is what I thought was interesting. You were living you were a person of faith and a Christian faith. So, but you were living in a Jewish country, Israel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember you were trying to say, do I even celebrate Christmas here? How does this
Yeah.
work? You had a lot of other dynamics going on, which I think you were just kind of waiting for Christmas to pass
Yeah.
until something kind of shifted in you. Speak to a little bit about that.
It was really like, when I say like normalize off seasons, sometimes normalize if you find yourself spending a holiday by yourself, it's okay.
Mm,
And when I finally gave my permission to be like, I'm here on Christmas, I'm not supposed to be by myself. I'm supposed to be, surrounded by family, and there's supposed to be
mhm,
gifts, and there's supposed to be a tree, and there wasn't any of those things. And not only that, I wasn't around Christians. The concept of Christmas,
mhm,
to Israeli Jews I mean, it's a very foreign concept.
mhm,
As strange
mhm,
as that sounds, coming from America, right?
mhm,
And even the concept of like a lot of material gift exchange, it's just not in the culture,
mhm,
is all. So I had to completely, and like over the conversations we've had, I had to rethink, can this look different?
mm.
And talking to you, you were like, yes, indeed, it can. As a matter of fact, and you even have to start, like, I even had to start small. I asked you questions about what it's like when you're overcommitted and you've got big
Mhm,
families. Well, I started from just me by myself.
mhm,
And it started as small as, what's my why? The birth of Jesus Christ. I can
mhm,
let go of these grandiose ideas of a feast with a lot of family or big gift exchange, or even I wasn't going to
mhm.
find a Christmas tree anywhere, that's for sure. So you find a Christmas bush. All right. You get a Christmas bush, you put it in the corner, of your little apartment. And then, you look up and you go, I know I want to honor this day. And you say, I'm going to take the train to Jerusalem. Now, am I so lucky that I'm wondering, what should I do for Christmas in Israel? Oh, Jerusalem's down the road, Okay, but it wasn't a fancy trip. It was merely the trip,
Mm,
And so once there was so many things that were normally expected with
mhm,
gifts, and I love gifts. It's one of my love languages. But lots of family, lots of stimulation, lots of
mhm,
saturation. It was all gone.
mm,
And then just a trip between me and Jerusalem
mhm,
led in its own kind of Christmas magic that I
mhm.
didn't know was an option.
Yeah.
And then I started to build up from there. I mean,
Mhm,
sometimes on your holidays, let's also, I, I keep
mm,
thinking about some people out there, let's not assume everyone's having a great holiday, like right
mm.
off the bat,
Yeah, I did wanna speak to that. What about the
yeah,
holidays when it's the first time without a loved one, or maybe you're going through divorce, or you've lost a significant relationship in your life, and
totally.
everybody else seems to be in love and celebrating and doing a gift
Yeah,
exchange, and you're over there
miserable.
devastated and
Yeah.
just dealing with grief. I mean, let's talk about that. How do we care for ourselves, and how do we care for our friends who are going through that?
I think, I think this is when the holidays can be used to the best of
Mm,
the theme of the holiday, right? And
mm,
I
mhm,
keep thinking to myself of like, love gifts, love that we're a gift giving, charitable culture. Um, I think we're oversaturated with gifts. I mean, you think about it now, and it's like, what could somebody give you? It's like you
mhm,
probably already have it, but
mhm,
what we could really use these days is service of some
mm,
sort. So
mm,
instead of like, what can I give you? I just keep thinking about like, how can I serve you?
mm,
Like, what do you need in this moment? And when I say like, if you've got a friend or loved one that's suffering,
mhm.
if you can serve them in a way with the doctor's approach of just do no harm, like just,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just don't don't ask them to read a book.
yeah.
Don't ask them to take a yoga class with you unless they want to do it's something they're looking for too. I mean, maybe this
Mhm,
person just needs permission to like take a nap. Or maybe
Mm,
this person is like entertaining a bunch of people and you bring them what they like to eat, not what they can share
mm,
with people.
mm-hmm,
Like how can you maybe you guys just need to sit in the car away from phones and away
mm-hmm,
from billboards. And I just keep thinking of like how can we serve each other? What can I take? What you've got a bunch of bags for donation. Let me just come and take them out of your garage. How
mm.
you want me to help you declutter? How can you
Yeah,
want me to organize your desk? And I keep thinking about this kind of stuff, and this seems to be something that just adds to the person and in no way requires any extra energy.
I love that. I love that. I love that idea of giving service versus gifts. Because you're right, our world's starving for that. We're hungry
Hmm.
for it. And you just got back from a trip from a with a mutual friend of ours that
Yeah.
is, experiencing a death. And she's going to be entering into this holiday season, and it's going to be the first year without all the first, without her loved one in her life. And
Yeah.
I just saw you serve and everything you're talking about. It's making me think about that and just how meaningful that is. It's the ultimate gift versus giving her a shiny new ornament for the tree. I don't know. Right?
Yeah. But being a warm body, that's what I
Hmm.
literally told her. I was like, let me just be a warm body. Let me just
Yeah.
be a presence,
Yeah.
Like I won't take anything away. And I found that that in itself was profound, for both
Hmm.
of us, just
Hmm.
being in presence of one another without any demands or any hard suggestions or just
Hmm.
allowing the other person to just do whatever they needed to be. And I was like,
Hmm.
that's the new power of our time right now,
Hmm.
less is more kind of thing.
Gosh,
And
that's
and
beautiful.
no and no pressure, like we keep talking about, no pressure. The holidays don't
Hmm.
always have to be this big, bright, shiny thing. Sometimes it can
Hmm.
be a time to mourn beautifully.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. Mourn beautifully. Yeah. Um, that got me thinking because I'm just thinking back about 5 or 6 years ago with the passing of my father. And
Oh
it
yeah.
was such a rich and achingly beautiful Christmas, that first one without him. And I love that
Really?
phrase that you said, mourn beautifully. Yeah, there was this poignancy of life is so short
Oh wow.
and it just hold your loved ones close.
Yeah.
So you savored every moment as the children were opening the presents and watching the cousins run around and feeling at the same time the void of my father and their grandfather.
How
It's
did you get to that though? Because it can
yeah.
take some time to actually come,
Mhm.
turn it into that blessing. Did it take some purposeful mind shifting of your own to get to that perspective? Were you able to, did it come naturally? Were you ready to receive it? Did you fight it at first?
Yeah, great questions. I think it's just when you're grieving, all you can do is go slow.
Yeah.
So I think I just was trying to be kind to myself and to my children who'd lost their grandfather. And for me, who had lost my father, all I could do is go slow and be present, like, and enjoy the joy and the love that my children were able to offer. And I remember going off in the room quietly crying, realizing
Oh,
my father
wow.
was not there. So I could hold both. And
Yeah.
I think isn't that the human experience is learning how to hold both the joy and the pain sometimes simultaneously. And I think that's what the
Yes.
holiday seasons give us sometimes, isn't it?
Totally. Absolutely. That's like, and it
Yeah.
keeps going back to like, we kind of
Mhm.
said more beautifully, and then you said this is really the human experience,
Mhm.
you know, being able to
Mhm.
combine the two. And what keeps like really, this is what I love about my friendship with you is you're always reminding me that slowing down is an option. Especially now, right? Like, don't
Yeah.
forget everyone, like you
Yeah.
could slow it way down.
Yeah. You can slow it way down, and if you don't enjoy things, get them off your plate. That's, I
Yeah.
think, one of my true beliefs I've held for years. Um, my husband and I do enjoy sending out Christmas cards, But we had to really look at it and go, do we enjoy this? And we said,
Yeah.
yeah, we do. We really do. And we've been doing it for probably 20 years now. We do, but we got to make sure that we keep checking in whether we enjoy it. And then when we're doing it,
Totally.
we got to make sure we're enjoying it. So we'll do
Totally.
fun stuff like putting on Christmas music and getting our hot cocoa and going through our Christmas list and thinking about
Yes.
all our loved ones. We have family and friends, near and far. And to us, it's a special way to just kind of say hi. Sometimes we don't talk to any of them, and all they get is that Christmas card that year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's our way of saying, we're still here. We're thinking of you. We love you. And when the holidays roll around, it's a time for me and for my husband to both say, who do we want to honor in our life? And how do we want to honor them? So a Christmas card for us is the way that we just kind of give a wave or a hug across the miles
Yes.
and let them know that we're still here. And their names and their faces are crossing our minds and our hearts and our prayers during this holiday season. And that too helps me move away from some of the grief of some of the loved ones that are gone.
Yeah.
And as I age, more
Yeah.
will be leaving.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing every Christmas will be different. Every Thanksgiving will be different. Every Easter will be different. All of these seasons is just a reminder that we have another year that has moved us through all these different seasons. And the seasons are almost these checkpoints to
Totally.
stop and say, how's my heart doing? How's your heart doing? How's the connections that we love? How do we reach out to them and honor them? And that's what becomes the focus for our holidays. And then, of course, our faith. Every holiday for us has a really poignant faith component. Everything from the birth of Jesus Christ to the death of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We like to honor that piece because of what our faith means to us and how it's important to us. So how we celebrate that too is also very important to us. And I think there's so many beautiful things to focus on that really transcend kind of keeping up with the pack, keeping
Yeah.
up with the giving, keeping up with whatever the pressures are. And I think that's what makes me sad. And we hear the phrase, don't let the reason for the season be stolen. And I want to say,
But it's
no,
stolen all the time.
it is. And I want to
Yeah.
say to everybody, know your reason, know your
Yeah.
why.
Totally.
And then don't let it get stolen. And it's different for everybody, but it gets to be yours.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment you have allowed it to be stolen from you and almost you're robbed of the experience of enjoying the holidays in the way that you get to enjoy them and make it be meaningful and purposeful for you. And I think that's really important for me to be able to say that. And I'll even move into this idea of New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and I do a really fun thing where we bring in some of our close friends where we've done this for years.
Yeah.
And we'll all sit around and we'll talk about the word that we had for the year and how it impacted us. And then we share our new word for the year.
Oh,
And
cool.
sometimes we may not talk about it again for months.
Yeah.
But every year at the end of the year, we know this conversation is coming with some of our dear friends. And we're like, hey, how'd that word go?
Yeah.
For me, my word is welcome. And there's some things I welcomed into my world, into my life that I loved. And there's some things that I welcomed, but it was almost like I had to eat my broccoli kind of welcoming.
Yeah.
I did it because I knew it was the right thing to do. It was good for me, but I didn't
Right.
enjoy it. It wasn't chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
So,
But-
I'm looking forward to sharing some of that as we move into this New Year's. I'm already thinking about my next word to move me into 2023. But that's just an example of how you get to own New Year's.
And by
What
the
is it?
way, these aren't giant things.
No, little
These aren't
things.
like huge, like monumental, like we're
Yep.
talking about like taking back your holidays and like moving into them in a certain way and,
Yep.
not being overwhelmed. Like you're talking about some Christmas cards
Yep.
and a once a year get together with a word,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know?
And to your point, service.
Yeah.
Someone in your world is hurting, and all of us probably have someone that's coming to our mind. It's their first Christmas or their first Thanksgiving or their first New Year's without a loved one. it's just saying, how can I serve you? Or you know them well enough to just serve them. I watched you
Yeah.
fly out and just say, I mean, I got a call from you. You're like, Hev, I'm over at Whole Foods. I'm shopping the aisles and picking up food for her. And I'm
Yeah.
chiming in because we're both foodies. We're all three of
Yeah.
us are foodies. So I'm like,
Yeah.
this, and this. She's going to love this, and this. And
And it was true. It was
Mhm.
literally just like the most basic of like snacks, and she was thrilled.
Yes.
There was not a roast in the oven, all right? There was not a béarnaise sauce anywhere, okay? Like, we're talking about plastic containers, take off the top, put it on the plate, all right? And it did the trick.
Yep. And it was being present. And I
Yeah.
remember, in your culture, the Jewish culture, I love this culture about sitting Shiva.
Mhm.
We don't know how to do that. And I jokingly said with you not too long ago, I don't think I could do a week. But I remember thinking
You're
when
supposed to be very worn out by the end. Like, you're supposed to be ready to get back to work by the end of it. I think they do it like that on
to wear us
purpose.
out. Can you imagine?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I remember thinking, even with the death of my father, I remember thinking, I just want someone to sit with me. I don't
Yeah.
have the energy to talk. I don't have the energy to tell you, basically take care of you to take care of me. Sometimes what I was filled, sometimes that question of what
Yeah.
can I do? What can I do? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to put one foot in front of the other today. I don't
Yeah.
know. Can you just figure out what maybe I need? It's kind of what I
Truly.
wanted to say sometimes. And there was such beautiful people who did. They would just drop things off or got a card in the mail or they'd just show up and they would just sit with me and let me cry and let me talk about memories. And I think there's that feeling of just presence
Yeah.
that is such a gift in such a busy world and in our American culture where everybody is so busy and we're so busy getting through our lists and buying
Yeah.
things.
The list.
Yeah, when in reality, our friends, especially some of our people that are hurting or lonely over the holidays, they just want to know that you'll slow down with them long enough to just be with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys can be together without there being any sort of like huge expectations,
Yeah.
like maybe you don't feel like seeing the lights. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, the part of the season too, though, is also being able to receive. And so, I'm curious, what has been some of the best ways that people have shown up for you, like when your father passed
Mhm.
away, or how can someone gift something to you or serve you during as a friend during the holiday season?
Yeah. I think when people come bringing their positive energy,
Yeah,
it means a lot to me. And I think I have so many beautiful people in my life that I want to say, if you want to be here and you want to be with me and you want to celebrate the holidays and you want to bring that energy. If
okay,
I'm someone else on your to-do list, stay home.
yeah,
I'd
yeah,
rather be
totally.
right. I'd rather be on my own. I don't want to feel like I'm somebody's to-do list. Like I'm
Yeah,
coming to your party because I have to, or I'm sending you a
right.
Christmas card because I have to.
If
I'm
you're
like,
tired and you need the
yeah,
night off, you don't have to be here. Like, and
exactly.
all the love.
Exactly. And I think it just keeps going back to sometimes the holidays is a really powerful reminder that maybe we're not enjoying the rest of our life either.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right.
Wow. Totally. Yeah.
And so the holidays just intensify all of the shoulds or the false beliefs we're living with. And what I want to do is make it really encourage our listeners, make this an opportunity to reach for a new true belief that says, I get to enjoy the holidays or I get to thrive during the holidays and not just endure it or survive it because life's
Yes.
too short.
And you can and permission to make it your own.
Yes.
There were holidays that I spent where my why, I knew my why, and whether it was Easter and, the resurrection of Christ, and all I had within me was
Hmm.
to have a candle and throw my why into the candle, and I protected that candle, and I lit that darn thing up, and there it was, celebrated.
Yeah.
Poof, I had Easter. It
Yeah.
really can be that small and tiny, but okay, now
Yeah.
I light a candle every Easter, and I know that
Yep.
has been celebrated, and that is my way of honoring. You can go, you can
Yeah.
go that small if you really have to.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
All right. So as we wrap up, let's leave. What's an encouragement that you want to leave with our listeners?
An encouragement. Um, there's a lot of glitz and glitter. And like, I've said it 3 times now, a lot of saturation out there. It's
Yeah.
really hard to ignore. You don't have to go with that flow.
Mm.
Permission to do this any way that serves you,
Hmm.
you know, cut it, make it small. I like how you brought it a couple times, slow it down and
Mm.
make this in a way that fits your life and not anyone else's but you and your inner circle.
Yeah. And I think I want to leave everyone with, it's okay if you don't have all your plans yet.
Yeah, wow. Yes.
I sometimes have to just pace it out and just kind of see what next week will bring. And before I know it, I'm into the next year, but I got to enjoy it the way I needed to enjoy it and not stress myself out with trying to plan things that I didn't have clarity on yet how I wanted to plan.
Oh my gosh, yes, permission to do things on a whim if must
Yeah.
be. Also fine. Yeah, I like
Yes.
that a lot. That's really good. Cool, Has.
Oh, my friend, so fun chatting with you. Thanks for coming
Yeah.
on today and just help me talk about this and encourage our listeners to really thrive this holiday season and just know
Yes,
that we are
yes.
cheering you on.
Yes, we are. 100%.
Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. We'd love a review. Helps us out quite a bit. Wherever you are, just drop a review and you can find out more at heatherpenny.com. Cheering you on.